Hello, students. Thank you for showing up today for this virtual lesson. And I apologize that I could not be there with you as normal, but I'm glad that you're here. Please just follow through with the video, and afterwards you'll have some time to maybe go finish one of your DLAs. A good chance to do that since we'll have a short lesson. So our topic today is going to be on money. But before we do that, I wanted to show you this paper that you've probably seen in your folder. So some of you may have already started filling this out, and that's great. If you haven't, I would love for you to go and get this done today. When I come back tomorrow, I'm going to have everybody bring their folders to class, and I will be checking all the stuff in your folder to see that everything's caught up. I know that there are still one or two of you that need to finish your assessments and meet with me, or you just finished your assessments and you're waiting to meet with me. We will finish that on Thursday if that's the case. But please fill this pink sheet out here if you could. I'm just going to point out all the stuff you need to do here. It asks for your name, your student ID number. If you have a preferred name, you've probably already put that on your name tag because we use that in class, but just put it here anyways. And contact info. This is just so that as the class progresses, if I need to contact you for anything, I can. Right here it asks for your major and or your career goals. So if you're not sure about what your career goals are, but you know an area that you're interested in studying, you could put that. If you know what your career goals are but still not sure of a major, put that so that we can maybe find you some resources to help you decide. And then down here it asks you for some simple yes or no. First off, is this your first semester in college? It probably is not, since this is a winter term. Most people start in fall or spring, but maybe it is. So you just decide that based on your own experience and where you're at. Number two, are you returning this semester after being out of school for a while? So some of you may have been out of college for a long time and you're just now going back. That might be the case. Or maybe you're young and this is your first experience in college. Are you in EOPS? If you are, you would know it. If you're not, don't worry about it. Just put no. And then how did you hear about this class? It asks you for some choices there that you can pick from. A lot of you are taking this because EOPS told you to, or your counselor suggested it maybe, or maybe you just heard that it might be a helpful class and you chose to take it. It is a transferable class with credits. I'm sure you guys know that, but just in case you were concerned about it, it is. So that's a good thing for you. And then down below it asks you about your schedule. So if this is the only class you're taking and you do already know your spring schedule, you can feel free to put that down if you like. What are the classes you're going to be taking or are currently taking? Who are the instructors? What are you hoping to get in that class? There's an intended grade there. I know some people think that's a trick question. It's not. You can decide. A lot of people plan on hoping to get A's in everything, and that's great. Some people know that they're busy and they have a lot going on and certain subjects are really tough and they'd be happy to get a B or C, and that's okay too. Some people plan on taking a pass or fail. Obviously, we want everybody to try and get A's, and that's a goal, but I'm realistic about that. I don't expect you to have that same attitude about every subject in every class. But do your best to fill this out and tell me what your schedule looks like, how many units you're taking. Again, if you know what you're doing in spring, you can put that down because we're kind of preparing for spring since it's winter. But you may also be taking other classes now. If that's the case, you could list maybe next to it winter and spring if you have both on here. The next one asks, how would you describe your habits as a student? And it asks you to put your strengths and weaknesses. Now, most of you have already taken the LASSI and the LTM. And so you can put down what that told you. Maybe it confirmed things you already knew about yourself, or maybe you got some new ideas from it and you're a little surprised, but you realize those are things you do need to work on or things that you are already good at. So you can list those, or maybe these are just things that you've already known about yourself. Maybe you know that you procrastinate. Maybe you know that you're really good at studying for tests. It's up to you. You decide what you want to put there. There's no right or wrong answer. Okay, now on to your book suggestions. These are some aspects from the chapter that I think are important for you to note, and they will help you on your quiz. The next thing here is managing your daily spending habits. A lot of the chapter talks about spending habits and how to earn more money, save more money, put money aside for what you need it, how to budget your money so that you can not go over on your expenditures each month. And these are just good habits for everyone, not just for students. But obviously, as a student, a lot of your money is tied up with books and tuition and fees. So it's important to pay close attention to this because you don't want to get in a situation where you can't afford to keep going with your education. So pay close attention to managing your daily spending habits, and that's on 336 to 338. It talks about learning all kinds of financial aid, and there are two different pages. Notice there's no dash here, so it's not talking about all of the pages in between, just this page and this page. And there are a couple links I'm going to give you on the next slide as well to check out. The next thing you need to notice in the chapter is that financial aid includes grants and scholarships, loans, and work study. Now, some people are able to get full ride scholarships, but those are a little hard to come by. So for the average student, these are the three things you're going to be using. Most people will get grants and scholarships. That's money you don't have to give back. Loans is money you do have to pay back, but the good thing about them is you don't have to pay them back until you're done with school and working in your field. And it's usually a percentage of your income that you can afford. And then work study is another area that you might be interested in that you could ask about when you file for financial aid or apply for it. And that involves you working on campus usually, or working on some sort of a project that is hopefully related to something you're studying. And then you also get paid for it. And a lot of times they just apply it to your account on campus, and it can pay for a lot of your student fees for you through the work. So that's a good option for many people. The next suggestion from the book is that there are recommendations for using credit cards effectively. A lot of credit card companies target college students because they know that there's a lot of fees and expenses associated with college, and they give you credit cards freely knowing that you're going to rack up a huge bill that you can't pay back. This is how they make their money. They charge you interest, and it's usually really high interest. Unlike student loans that are low interest, credit cards are high. So if you have a choice between getting a student loan or using credit cards, always get a student loan. Those are going to be low interest of usually under 5%. And credit cards can be 12 to 20%, anywhere in that range. So keep that in mind that it's going to cost you more. There are good ways to use credit cards. And so you want to be careful of that and just look at the suggestions in the book about how to use them. And it can help you build your credit, but you don't want it to get overwhelming to where you can't pay it off. And that's already happened to many people, and it's very difficult after a while. So the next suggestion is to save for an emergency fund. It talks about this on page 345. It talks about how to save money, but this is the first most important suggestion that you do first before you start saving for other bigger items like long-term or large expenditures. So an emergency fund is important for everybody, no matter what your situation, whether you're living with your family, living on your own, paying for school, financial aid. Everybody needs an emergency fund, which is just a savings where you can pull from if something happens. The next suggestion is, instead of focusing on how much you earn, focus on habits. A lot of us are going to, over time, earn more money, and especially with a college education. We talked about that during our first week, that is pretty much inevitable, that almost all people who get a college education can earn more in their lifetime. It's better to not focus on what you earn now or what you think you're going to earn, although that's important to know, to plan. In the meantime, to actually budget your money, you need to focus on your daily habits. What do you actually spend money on? A lot of us spend money on things that we don't pay attention to. How often do you go to Starbucks and get that $3 or $4 coffee instead of making it home for 50 cents or less? That's just one example that I'm guilty of, but that's something to think about. There are small habits that we could change that would be easy to fix. It also talks about how to budget your money by thinking about how you spend it. And aside from just your habits and changing your habits, if you do need to spend less and you realize you're spending too much, where do I start? You want to definitely start with cutting your big ticket items. So for example, maybe you're living in a place that's a little too expensive. Would it be more affordable to move to a smaller place? Would it be more affordable to have a different car or to have no car and just ride the bus? That is definitely affordable. So you might think about some of these things for the next few years if it's going to help you really build up a better savings and manage your budget. So you start with the big ticket items that are easy to change and get to the most money in the quickest amount of time. And then you can start reducing some of those small ticket expenses and other habits. So the page numbers are here. And I want to remind you that this PowerPoint is posted on Canvas under the Files section, so you can go pull this up. And that will be necessary for our next few slides here. So this picture is actually based off of the 8 dimensions of wellness. You might have heard of that in some of your other classes. You will probably hear it on other college campuses as you transfer. This is sort of a health field lingo, I guess we could say. It's the type of concept that a lot of people look at for overall wellness. And people argue, many experts who've done research on this argue, that there are 8 areas that really impact our overall wellness. And so they are listed here. They're intellectual, emotional, physical, social, occupational, financial, environmental, and spiritual. Now, we don't have a lot of time to go into all of these in this class, but I wanted to show you this because a lot of people, when they hear wellness, they think of their own physical health, or they think of their emotional well-being, or maybe even they think of their spiritual experiences or things like that, or even their social life, but they don't often think about their financial situation or their occupational situation. And those 2 things have a direct impact on your wellness. If you are struggling to pay your bills and you're unhappy at your job or not making enough at your job, or your budget is not intact and you can't maintain it, it will start affecting all your other areas of wellness. You're not going to be able to easily study and focus in school. You're going to have a harder time sleeping, and you're going to have less energy. It's going to be more stressful. There's going to be all sorts of things that are impacted. Additionally, even just your physical health, if you don't have an adequate budget, eating healthy is really difficult on a small budget. So these are some things to think about. And I just wanted to show you this, and notice that there isn't any one area that is more important than another. So you might feel like many of these areas you've got under control, but if your financial situation is not good, it will start impacting the others. Okay. So I mentioned that this would be posted on Canvas, and I would like you to each go on your own time when you leave here and open up this file and click on these links, and then also watch this little video. She just gives some nice little tips for making a budget and sticking to it. And it's a kind of a fun, easy video to watch, and it's short. There are captions at the bottom, so you can pause it, you can read it, you can come back to it. If you don't have time, you can look at it again later. But I'd like you to check these out. These links are tools to help you budget your money, and a lot of them have apps. And I would love for you to send me some of your ideas for how you save money, or what apps do you like to use on your phone. And those would be helpful, because if we have a bunch of ideas, I'll compile them all into a list and share them online with everyone. So I'm sure that many of you have some good ideas about this already. The next one I want you to check out on your own time is each of these links that will show you how to apply for scholarships. So this first one is for community college transfer students, and there's all kinds of scholarships on there. And then right here, our own college has a scholarship website that you can check out, and there are things you can apply for there. And then this is more the federal financial aid website that will take you through all the details about applying for federal student aid. And there's lots of choices there as well. I'm sure you've all applied for your FAFSA. If not, you definitely need to do that before you transfer, so you can see about all the different options for what kind of grants you could get. And scholarships will often be provided through there as well. So please go check this out on your own time when you leave here. And I want to remind you some things coming up. First off, your assignments due today is your Chapter 8 quiz and your Assignment 8 quiz. That's the one that we just went over yesterday. And then tomorrow, you're going to do the Chapter 9 quiz and assignment, and that is on this chapter of money. And I want to also congratulate you for making it this far, because tomorrow will be your last quiz. And after that, no more quizzes. Isn't that exciting? Now we're going to switch over to focusing on our presentation and our essay. So we have some more long-term goals instead of these short-term read a chapter, take a quiz, read a chapter, take a quiz kind of approach to learning. So be prepared for that. And if you're falling behind, just use this time that you have off now to get caught up. So please go back and get your pink sheet in your folder and fill it out. Put it back in the bin so that you can come back to it later and I can check it on Thursday. And if you have some time, go do your DLAs and get ahead on that, so you have less to worry about later on when you're trying to write your essay and prepare for a presentation. Thank you for coming in. I hope you have a good day and get a lot of work done.